Hello again, my dear students, and welcome to day 2 of our IELTS writing mini course. So, yesterday we covered the basics on what to do before you start writing your essay, and today we are going to go into some actual writing. So, let's see, for today's agenda, first we're going to talk about how to structure and plan your essay. Then we are going to go over how to write the first half of your essay. So today I'm going to teach you how to write your introduction and your overview. And at the end, you will have a homework assignment. So let's get started. And first of all, let's talk about a brief action plan when it comes to what you want to do in your IELTS exam. So, first, you want to understand the graph. Second, you want to plan your essay. Okay? Thirdly, you want to start writing. And the fourth and final step is checking for errors. So you never want to first write and then plan your essay and then look at the graph, right? You never want to go away from this pattern. Understand, plan, write, check. Okay. So, let's see. Today I told you that we would talk more about the structure of a task 1 essay. So, a task 1 essay has 4 parts. The first part is the introduction, okay? So, in the introduction, this is actually really easy. You just want to paraphrase the task, nothing else. You just want to basically repeat what they told you in a different manner. So, for anybody who doesn't know, paraphrasing is saying something in a different way, okay? So paraphrasing is saying something in a different way. So what does that mean? For example, I can say, I really like to read books, okay? So I can say, I really like to read books. Or I can say, I'm keen on reading books. See, these two sentences, they mean the exact same thing, except we just said it in a different way. So here I said really like, and here I said I'm keen on. Keen on and like are the same thing. And I also said here to read books, while in the second sentence we said reading books, okay? It's the same wording, but it's still said in a slightly different manner. So, that's what paraphrasing is, and that's all you want to do in your introduction, basically. Okay, now let's talk about the overview, okay? So in the overview, you just want to write down the most important things. So kind of a general view of the graph. So if somebody read the overview, they know what this chart is about and what it represents. However, in the overview, you don't want to get specific. You don't want to use any numbers. You don't want to use any percentages and whatever, right? So you really want just a general view of the topic. And then if we go to the next one, which is the body paragraphs. So after the overview, you're going to write 2 body paragraphs. And body paragraphs are where you go into the details, where you actually mention numbers and percentages and so on and so on. Body paragraphs are also a great place to make a lot of comparisons. Okay, and you're going to have 2 body paragraphs. Now, for today's class, I'm going to teach you how to write an introduction and an overview. So that's what we are doing today. And first of all, I would like to show you the task that I picked for us to do here. And it's this one. As we can see, it's a line chart or a line graph. You can use either or. So let's read this real quick. The line graph below shows changes in the amount and type of fast food consumed by Australian teenagers from 1975 to 2000. You have to summarize the information and write at least 150 words. Okay, so again, what did we say? The first action in our action plan is to understand the graph, okay? So I'm going to take a look at the graph, and I see here consumption of fast food by Australian teenagers. So, and here on this side, we have number of times eaten per year. So that's the amount that they ate. Here we have the year. So that's our time period. And here we have what each of the colors represents. So the blue line is for pizza, the red line is for fish and chips, and the green line is for hamburgers. Okay, so now that I understand what each of these means, so I know that, for example, in the year 2000, the number of times a teenager would eat a hamburger per year is 100, right? So we can see that from the graph. Okay. Now that I understand that, I have to see what are the main features here. What is important? Is this difference important? No, not really, right? But let's see, this is important. How pizza and hamburgers rose in popularity. This is a really key main feature. And how fish and chips really went down in popularity. Again, another really important key feature. And let's see, another big difference that we want to point out here is this. So this difference is drastic, right? This one, not so much. That's not really important. But this one, we can see a big difference. So this is going to be one of our key features. Okay? So now that I've identified the key features, how fish and chips went down in popularity while pizza and hamburgers went up. Hamburgers is the most popular one, while fish and chips is the least popular one at the end of the period. But it was different at the start of the period, right? So I've identified all of these main features. I understand what the graph is about. Now I'm going to go to write my first paragraph. And like we said, the first paragraph is the introduction. Okay, so I wrote 2 introductions for you guys. One is a bit simpler and the other one is on a bit more complex level. So, like we said, we have the original one here. The line graph below shows the changes in the amount and types of fast food consumed by Australian teenagers from 1975 to 2000. Okay, so there are a few things that we can paraphrase here. Okay, so first of all, we can paraphrase the beginning itself, the line graph. Instead of saying the line graph, I said the line chart. Again, same thing. We're just saying it in a bit of a different manner, So now we have the line chart. Then the next thing that I decided to paraphrase was shows. Okay, So instead of shows, I said provides information on. Okay? And then I decided to put the subject of the study first. Here they said by Australian teenagers. I said teenagers living in Australia. Okay? And then they said changes. I said how changed. Okay? They decided to say the amount and type of fast food consumed. I said their preferences and consumption levels of junk food. Okay, so here I paraphrased fast food into junk food. Okay, I paraphrased the type of fast food into preferences, because preferences is really just saying what kind of something you like or what type of something you like. And the amount, I paraphrase it into consumption levels. Okay, they said the amount consumed. I say the consumption levels. And finally, they said from 1975 to 2000, I decided to say between the years 1975 and 2000. Okay? So, in the end, I have my introduction like this. The line chart provides information on teenagers living in Australia and how their preferences and consumption levels of junk food changed between the years 1975 and 2000. Right? So, see how many things we changed here, but we still kept the original meaning of the task. And I just want to say that the line chart versus the line graph provides information on, shows between the years 1975 and from 1975 to 2000. These are things that you can use in every essay. Basically, you're gonna paraphrase. I mean, if it's a line chart, yeah. If it's not a line chart, let's say it's a pie graph, right? You say a pie chart or the graph. You can also just say graph, right? In any case, these are paraphrased expressions that you will use in almost every essay, depending on the chart. Okay. So that's basically the first one, the first paraphrased paragraph that I thought of. The next one is a bit more complicated because it uses some more complicated sentence structures. So let's see, what did I write here? The chart provides information on how the preferences and consumption levels of Australian kids in their teens changed when it comes to junk food in the period between 1975 and 2000. Okay, now let's analyze this a bit. Here I used chart, only chart, right? And then I sticked with provides information on. I sticked with preferences and consumption levels. What did I change? I changed this one here. Australian kids, and then I used a noun clause. This is what makes the sentence complex. We have here this clause, in their teens. And this is a relative clause that describes the noun Australian kids, or kids, right? So in their teens means that they are teenagers. And I used a special clause to describe the kids even further, right? So I didn't say teenagers who live in Australia. I said Australian kids in their teens. And then here I said when it comes to, right? So when we want to specify that we are talking about a specific topic, we within a certain area, we can say when it comes to. Because here I said preferences and consumption levels, right? But about what? Right? So it can be preferences about what clothes they wear, you know. But when I said when it comes to junk food, then it's clear that we are talking about their preferences in the kind of junk food that they like to eat and their consumption levels in the kind of junk food they like to eat. And here I used a bit of a different phrase here, in the period between 1975 and 2000. Well, remember here I used between the years 1975 and 2000. You can use both of these interchangeably in any essay, basically. So yeah, this is the more advanced version, let's say, a more of a complex sentence than this one, but both of them are great examples of how to paraphrase. This one is just a bit more simpler to execute. Okay, so that was how to write your introduction. Next, we're going to talk about how to write an overview. And like I said, in the overview, you don't really want to mention any numbers. And you don't want to talk about anything too specific. You just kind of want to talk about the broad points of the chart, so that anybody who actually reads it can kind of get what the chart is showing us, right? So here I started off like with overall. That's a really great way to start your overview. And then we can see, remember, never say I can see. We want to stick to objective phrases. We can see, right? We can see that 2 of the 3 types of fast food, pizza and hamburgers, have had a steady increase in popularity over the decades. That's what we talked about, remember? This is one of the biggest key features here, how hamburgers and pizza have become more and more popular over the decades. While is a great word to use when you want to say when things happen at the same time. So, at the same time when pizza and hamburgers were growing in popularity, fish and chips was what? Becoming less and less popular. So, here I mentioned that. While fish and chips have fallen from Australian teenagers' #1 choice of junk food to the least popular option. Okay, now I want you to pay attention to the synonyms here. Because here I said a choice, right? I could have said to the least popular choice and just repeated the word, but I used the synonym for choice, which is option. And the more synonyms that you can use in your essay, the better score you will get. So just try to not repeat your words too often. It's okay to repeat words like, here in this case, it's okay if I repeat pizza, fish and chips, and hamburgers, because these are constants in our chart, right? I can't really give them any other name. I mean, sure, I can say maybe the Italian round food, but that just doesn't make sense, right? I mean, nobody says Italian round food to talk about pizza. So yeah, just be careful with not repeating your words too often. Okay, and here another really great expression that you can use when you're talking about something that happened over a really long period of time is over the decades or even over the years, right? Maybe sometimes you'll even have centuries. For anybody who doesn't know, a decade is a period of 10 years. So here we can see it 2.5 decades because we have 25 years, right? So I could say over the decades or during that period. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of the overview. So, while consumption levels of hamburgers and pizza were extremely low compared to fish and chips in the beginning of the time period, at the end of the period, the amount of hamburgers and pizza consumed was more than double that of the fish and chips. Okay? So, let's see. Like I said, we're going to delete these lines again, just so it's clear. Another really important main feature was this one. This difference, right? How this was so drastically different, and then these two became way more popular than fish and chips. So, again, that's what I wanted to express here in the last sentence, right? And yeah, that's basically how to write an overview and an introduction. Okay, now I have given you a homework assignment. So in the description of the video, you can download the homework assignment. It's another task 1 essay, and you need to write an overview and an introduction. First the introduction, please. So an introduction and an overview until tomorrow, until our next lesson. Okay, so knowing what you learned in this lesson, try to write the introduction and the overview for the assignment in the description of the video. And yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments or in the Facebook group. See you tomorrow.